Hello and welcome to Body Balance, the Basics. This work is really the result of 14 years worth of research, which began after the time when I gave up riding in despair and frustration. I'd always looked at riders who were much more talented than myself and really envied them and wondered how the heck they were able to ride so beautifully and produce such beautiful results from the horses. Occasionally too, I'd get it just right and I'd think, hey, that's fantastic. The only problem was I never knew what I'd done and I was never able to go out and do it again. Now this sent me off on a quest to really try and work out how the interaction between the rider and the horse works, how I could learn to do it well, consistently, and how I could teach other people to do the same. This tape is about the fundamental ABCs of riding. Now, like me, I'm sure you're familiar with all those expressions that people say about sit up straight, stretch your leg down, push your heels down, relax, sit deep, use your back, all those kind of things. And I used to assume that if I tried to do those and it didn't work, it was because I was stupid. Now I think it's because those things are really not the fundamental organizing principles of riding. If they were, they work for everybody. Think of it this way, if riding was a pie, and the pie was cut into certain pieces, and we looked at the pie crust and we saw the piece that says keep your heels down, the piece that says stretch your leg down, the piece that says relax, and we thought that was what it's about. What I've done in effect is to take off the pie crust and look underneath it to all that mishmash of ingredients and to separate out the onions from the carrots to the meat and see what it is that's really in there. Now you're about to learn here the pieces that I've come up with. These, I think, really are the fundamental organizing principles of riding, and they work for people regardless of their young, old, short, tall, fat, thin, regardless of their body type. Bear in mind that these tapes were shot in actual riding lessons. Everything you see here was spontaneous. We never worked from a script, and in particular, I never ever put words into the riders' mouths. So any of the feedback they gave me really was what they said on the time and how they responded as the lesson went on. So what we'll do here is we'll go to the riding arena and we'll meet Sandra, who's our first rider. So this is Sandra, who's really quite a novice rider. She's riding Kashmir, who's a 15-year-old three-quarter thoroughbred who has in his day done medium dressage and I think fox hunter jumping. But right now he's relegated to the realms of giving confidence to people who really need it. As we look at Sandra riding here, it's obvious we're looking at someone who is a fairly novice rider. And we're seeing a picture you'll often see with a fairly novice rider. So the things to notice are that there's a lot of backwards-forwards movement of her backside. And despite that, the horse really isn't going very much forward. Also, if we look at the basic lineup of her body, we can just check out what's going on by asking ourselves the question, if we took the horse out from underneath her by magic, how would she land on the riding arena? Can you answer that for us, Sandra? How would you land?
I'm sure I would land on my backside.
Yes, that's right. You'd land on your backside. So there's no way there you'd just plop down on your feet. You'd land on your backside.
No, on my backside.
Sandra, let's have you take trot rising, just going round the edge.
Okay.
If you panic and freak, I'll come and catch you.
What?
He'll stop anyway. Yeah, see if you can go faster. So as Sandra goes into trot here, the loss of impulsion or the lack of impulsion is even more apparent. And her lineup stays where she'd land on the arena on her backside if we took her horse out from underneath her by magic. As you see her from the side here, also just notice the shape of her back. Just notice how much backside you see out behind her and how hollow her back really is. Okay, so Sandra, you come on back through to walk. Come on up the centre line here and let's reorganise things a bit.